Good evening, everyone. Welcome to INGED Zoom Series 22. Today, our guest is Associate Professor Dr. Anıl Rakıcıoğlu-Söylemez, a dear friend and definitely a distinguished colleague. Anıl Hoca is currently teaching in the Department of Foreign Language Education, Bolu Abant İzzet Baysal University. Her research interests are pre- and in-service teacher education, mentoring, and practicum. Her session title is Teachers' Classroom Language, Growth-Oriented Interaction Patterns. Thank you, dear Anıl Hocam, for accepting to be a guest speaker and being with us. Welcome again. So the screen is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you so much, Hocam. And hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about teachers' classroom language. As you can see on the title, growth-oriented interaction patterns. But we have three main agenda points that I'm going to cover. So I need to make that sure about, because these are huge topics, classroom language. When we refer to classroom language, it could cover a number of concepts. But I will just focus on, I will introduce the framework that I will be mentioning. And then I will go into what I mean by growth, and I will explain and how is it related to classroom language and interacting with students and teachers and students interaction, how that will lead to growth. And basically interactional patterns by referring to giving praise. So that will be the topic of my talk today. Thank you so much for coming. So I'm going to use this one, I guess. Yes. Well, when we focus on the intersections of classroom language and teachers' actions in the classroom, what we observe is that teachers would set certain patterns while they're introducing language and while they're using language in their daily lives and in their classrooms as well. So this is a sample of statements. There are at about 300 statements. And you're right, can you hear me? Is a very recent one, Sedat Hocam, right? Exactly. In the classroom, we make use of a number of statements, starting with the beginning of the lesson, greetings, introductions, time to begin, register for the latecomers, or during the lesson, we provide common instructions, classroom management, error correction, special situations, it says, the table says, and the end of the class, time to stop, not time to stop, homework, next time, and goodbye, and leaving the classrooms. Exactly, not please identify yourselves, I can't see your names, please change your avatars and turn it into your personal pictures are the recent ones in online education. That's correct. Well, when we look at these statements, well, while we are running through how to use language in our classrooms, we teachers may fall into the habits of using the language in the direct opposition of what we know is best for our students. And although we have the best intentions, we would like our students to feel safe, to collaborate well with others, feel the ownership of their learning, and be engaged in the classroom practices as well. When we look at these statements, this could be quite difficult to keep in mind, actually. 300 statements, just memorizing when to say what, in which situation, to which student, actually, in which context even. So, well, we could miss some of the opportunities. I should have said this. That will be better to say this. So, rather than memorizing these statements, we need to embody another concept. We need to be able to categorize the classroom language into frameworks. Well, actually, in the relevant literature, Hughes introduced a framework of classroom language. So according to Hughes' classroom language functions, there are four main functions. I will introduce the first one as organization. By referring to organization, Hughes suggests that giving instructions, sequencing, and supervision will be considered under organization. There could be some reminders when to use these statements. This could be offering alternatives while we are introducing a new activity, or setting time limits or directing attention. And here are some of the sample statements that Hughes introduced in the framework. Open your books, everybody please. Who would like to read kind of statements that we frequently use in our daily classrooms would be considered as organization? In the second construct, we have interrogation. So asking questions and replying questions would be considered under this title. The reminder would be using a variety of forms in the classroom, giving descriptions, opinions, and reasons while we're making the explanations would be covered under interrogation. And here are the sample statements that could be used. Where is he or where is she? Tell me where Ahmet is. I don't know. Well, my nephew's name is Ahmet. So what was the building like? So what do you think about this problem? Yes, but how can you tell? Kind of questions, asking questions would be considered as interrogation, not in the bad, just not with a bad connotation, but more like asking questions and pursuing the conversation through questions and explaining. In the third group, we have interaction. This time we have affective attitudes and social, did I skip one? Oh, right, explanation, sorry, exactly. Meta language, reference. In terms of reminders, we have paraphrases, making a definition, correcting the spelling could be considered as explanation. And while we are using explanation in our classroom language, there are certain statements, actually stems of statements that could be used. Explain it in your own words, fill in the blanks, mark the correct alternative. After they left the house, this is a picture of a castle. Kind of explanations would be considered as explanation, as the name suggests. And the fourth one, the last one, would be interaction. So this will be the main framework that I'm going to focus on in this presentation. Affective attitudes and social rituals are considered as interaction according to Hughes' framework. The reminders would be expressing interest, surprise, friendship, appreciation, disappointment, greeting, apologizing, and thanking. And here are the some STEM statements that could be given as samples. Good morning, have a nice weekend, thank you for your help, happy birthday, don't worry about it, that's interesting. So when we look at these statements, these are widely used in our daily classroom languages. But the thing is that, how are we going to keep this in mind? You know, we teachers have certain topics that we need to follow. We have different agendas while we're introducing the same topic. We need to keep an eye on the students who are talking in the group work or who are not interested in the group work. And we need to make sure that we are on time. And we need to control the class, control the activities. We need to think about the homework that we're going to assign or the evaluation and how is it related to the content that we are introducing. The materials, whether we have enough materials or not. So how are we going to sequence the activities, whether the students are bored? So how are we going to keep these in mind? Well, when we focus on the frameworks that we know, the first one, as I introduced, 300 statements, and then Hughes framework, okay, they are divided into categories, which makes it easier for us to follow. But how are we going to keep this in mind? You know, well, sorry about the picture, it was high in resolution, but the answer is that there is no one best way to make it go as planned. We could plan it as this wall is clear, but it could end up with like this, right on the right side of the picture, as you can see. So the plan may not. So growth comes into context. So, all right, so we know the classroom language. There are certain frameworks that cover classroom language statements. That's fine, but we need to focus on something else. We need to define what we understand from growth. So I would like to ask the group about their opinions in terms of what does growth mean to you? How would you define growth? Collaboration. Brilliant. Change. Inspiration. Development. Improvement. Sorry, am I speaking so fast? Sorry, I'm nervous. Cooperation, progress, empower. Great, Merve. Okay, developing my limit. All right, creativity, experience, responsibilities, being better than previous. Interesting, Mustafa. Sociocultural variety, good, Ipek. Autonomy, innovative. All right. Wonderful ideas. Awareness. Persistence, that's very important, Boris. Thank you. All right, so Darling Hammond explains, I'll be slow. Darling Hammond explains the development of the brain's networks through learning is similar to growing a botanical garden. Growth is not an easy task. It's a process. It takes time. It doesn't always go through smooth ways. So there could be some fails, there could be errors, there could be mistakes, there could be strengths as well, there could be victories as well. While we're talking about growth, it's not always the pink side of the story, but it takes time. And at the end, we will end up, hopefully, with a botanical garden. Well, what we need to know about growth is that learning changes the brain. So inside the amazing brain, a number of processes take place. And what we know about growth is that when we apply effective learning strategies, that will enhance this process. So teaching strategies, effective teaching strategies, would definitely impact the learning process. So the discoveries from mind, brain, and educational research may not be introduced directly to the students, so they may not be aware of this learning process. But when they are aware of this process, they will take care of their learning processes. So human beings actually have the potential to acquire knowledge, develop skills, and improve. And this applies all human beings. In the learning process, students actually can improve their knowledge and skills through the use of certain learning strategies with guidance and support from teachers, coaches, and mentors. So that's where the teachers enter the room. So they can themselves improve their learning processes, but they need support and guidance in terms of finding their ways. And when educators model and teach these effective learning strategies, students could monitor their academic gains, which could support the process of pursuing mindsets to persist even through more difficult learning tasks. And according to Guskey in 2002, while teachers gaining awareness on the malleability of learning processes could result in changes in teachers' attitudes and beliefs, which in turn reveals that using relative practices and observing the positive impact on students would just circle around this process, and that will complement to one another. It's an ongoing process. So we mentioned about mindsets. So when I say mindset, just how would you define it? What is a mindset to you? Any words, ideas, and examples of the way you picture mindsets? How you think, cognition, thoughts, the way we see the world, a way of thinking. Exactly. Mentality, framework of mind. Okay. Assumptions. All right. So I will ask a more specific and personalized question. How a person acts in a particular situation, right? So could you please refer to some of the moments in which your mindset has helped you? Can you give some examples? Mindsets helping your actions, mindsets guiding your decisions. Can you give an example? Yoga. Okay. Learning to live in Turkey, pandemic. Yes, right, Sleha, right? That's hard. It is. I know it is. I will make it easier, Hojam. I promise. They can mislead us or encourage us. Exactly, Ipek. That's right. Approaching people. Right, right. Exactly. Very good point. Happiness. I have this can do, will do mindset. Oh, that's great, Marve. And it helps me every time. Giving up on sugar. So you're not using sugar. All right. That's a mindset as well. Correct. Exercising. Why not? Having a healthy mind and having a healthy body. All right. Positive mindsets helps you to see the glass half full rather than empty. Gülden, thank you so much. Dreaming. Okay. All right. Okay. Changing habits, accepting ideas of people. All right. So it helps me about awareness. Okay. Emphasizing with others. All right. I tried doing a craft and I didn't. Okay, being open-minded. All right. I think this was all the positive sides of having growth mindset, I guess. Right. So I'm going to ask you another question. Can you refer to some of the moments in which your mindset has hindered you? Prejudice. Okay. Stereotypes. Tracking. Okay. Right. Relationship with children could actually refer to the relationship with students as well. Right, Hocam? Okay. All right. That happened. After having kids, yes, my mindset also changed. So language mindsets in a Turkish book made me stop reading it. Language mistakes, okay. Not being able to learn German, fixed mindset. Exactly, Ejinur. How does it affect or hinder your actions? Can you give an example? Before I go into the definition of mindsets, let's take a quiz. It's a very short one. Here are the events on the left side. It gives an example of failing a vocabulary quiz. I would say, or I would say. Which one would you say? The first one is, I guess, I'm not good at remembering. And the next one would be, next time I will study harder. Which one would you choose? Number one, second one. Hocam şaşırdım. Number first, second. Second one. Well, first one, I think. Okay, first one. All right, second one. Third one, there's no third one. All right, second. First. All right, first, second. All right. So the answers vary. That's good. That's okay. Okay, the second event is that you didn't get a part in the discussion in the classroom. And what would you say? Well, I'm terrible in speaking. Or would you say, I will talk to the teacher and ask how I can improve? First one. Okay, second for sure. All right, first, second. Brilliant. I'll ask for help. Second, mine is the first. Okay, you're the good. Okay, second. Third option. Oh no. Second one. Okay, you would choose the second one. That's thank you so much. That's brilliant. And you got a bad grade. And I'm not good at language learning. And I will ask for help in English. First, second. Okay, first one. Second one. All right. That was a very short quiz, so that I will explain the types of mindsets and how they are related to learning. The first group was fixed mindsets. Well, these students have fixed mindsets, and they believe that all their skills and abilities are fixed and they cannot change. And they don't believe that hard work and practice can change how good or bad they are at something. And once a person with a fixed mindset decides they are not good at something, they'll just quit trying. And having a fixed mindset will hold the students back from trying new things and becoming the best that they can be at something. And if you're feeling like you fixed mindset in the past, well, you could change that. Good news is that you can change that. But if you don't want to change it, it's okay too. I will explain that. Let's take a look at these students. I couldn't get high grades in English classes last year, so I guess I'm not good enough. Good enough is one of the main words that would relate to a type of fixed mindset that people have. I'll always fail on my English language tests, so there's no point in studying. And what's the point of English classes? I'll never be good at that. I'm sure you've heard similar statements like this. And on the other hand, growth mindset, well, these students have growth mindsets and they believe that their abilities can change or grow with practice. And they don't give up when they face a challenge. So when students have a growth mindset, they are flexible in trying new things because they are not afraid of failing. And having this mindset gives them more opportunities in life. And having a growth mindset, exactly, John. Having a growth mindset doesn't make it easier to learn things. So you will still need to work hard. The growth mindset will not open all the doors. You still need to work hard. But when someone has a growth mindset, they know that extra effort will be worth it. So these are the student statements. I could get high grades in English classes. I couldn't get, but I've been practicing every day to try more. And I've been struggling in English, but I know when I study more, I can improve my grades. And I'm not the best language person in the class, but I'm getting better with practice and effort. These are the key words: practice and effort. So let's take a look at these statements and let's categorize them. The first one that I would like to highlight is, I haven't figured it out yet. Do you think it's the fixed mindset or the growth mindset? Growth, exactly. What's the key word that you can just notice? Yet, exactly. And the second one, I can't do this. Fixed. No option, no room for progress, no room for effort, and not feeling enough in terms of practice and being successful. I'll never be good enough. One of the key words for fixed mindset. Exactly, brilliant. So I'm either good or I'm not. Black or white thinking. Well, it's fixed, basically, right? Terrific, thank you. And I can improve through hard work. Growth mindset. Right, exactly. Well, that sounds fine. Yes, but how are we going to achieve that? You know, in our culture, as John mentioned, we hear this I can't statement. I can't do this. I can't do that. I can't just participate. I can't get high grades. I don't understand. I can't watch movies, series without subtitles. I can't read English to English dictionaries. So I can't is one of the frequently used statement for individuals to refer to their abilities, and they will most probably underestimate their potential. So I took this screenshot from Big Life Journal. If you're interested, they have brilliant materials focusing on mindsets and integrating mindsets into classrooms. You can refer to them. They have websites, and they have free printables that they're sending through emails every Friday. If you're interested, you can just follow their pages. Well, instead of saying, yes, you can, you know, most of the time parents or teachers would focus on this when their children or students keep telling them, I can't do this. Well, most of the time, parents would go like, of course you can. Yes, you can. Why can't you? Kind of an attitude that could be quite actually disturbing in terms of psychological development. Instead, we should say, we need to understand that students progress in their emotions. So yes, it is hard. I can tell, but good thing that you are trying hard and you are good at hard things. So you could just do your best. You could just stay calm. Okay, just give them some time to go through that emotion. That is what is being suggested, instead of insisting on the potential of the student. Well, ask your dad to help you, just sending the student, or ask it to your friend to give that answer to you in the classroom. That will be, well, do you want to keep trying or ask for help? So that will be giving the option to the student, or to the child actually, to make a decision between two options, whether to try more or whether to ask for help, rather than just directing the student to go and ask for help. So move over, please, I'll do it. Well, when my daughter was a small child, I was doing it all the time. I just confession. She was my first child, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. Just give it to me. And then with my second child, I learned that doesn't work like that. It should be taking their own responsibilities in their learning process in order to gain the ownership of the learning process. So in order to highlight that, well, I'm here to help if you need, would be a better statement in the classroom. Well, we don't say I can't in our house or in our classroom. You can't use that statement. That could be used when the teachers are setting certain rules for their classrooms. But instead, I see you're getting frustrated. Let's take a break and come back later. Let's give it some time. Let's give yourself, don't be so hard on yourself. Okay, let's give a break and then we'll continue. So seriously? Well, it's not that hard, just minimizing the struggle that the student or this child is going through. And well, show me the hard parts, show me where you are struggling, in which part do you specifically need help from me, could be a better option while we're talking about, in order to eliminate the use of I can't. Because children, especially nowadays, will keep saying the same things over and over, and when they see the potential that there's an elder person who is helping them through solving the problems, they would consistently ask for help, and they will consistently ask for clarifications. So instead, in order to give the responsibility to our children, to the students in the classroom, we could be directing them to refer to themselves, monitor their progress, and then consider the difficult part of it to ask it to the teacher or to ask it to the parent. Well, some of the tips. Well, challenges actually are new ways to developing strategies to find solutions to problems that are being experienced by the individuals. And challenges could actually be new chances. If we focus on failing, then we'll be focused on failing. And we can also fail, and our students can fail as well. But while we are failing, we are definitely learning something. So we need to focus on that learning process, even if we are failing. So that means that we are making progress. That's the good side of the story. Even if we are failing, even if we are feeling down, even if the students are going strong, just struggling with the process, they are still in the progress of learning. So they need reward for that. We should not overlook in this process when they are struggling in this learning, and they need help. That we are there to help, but to a certain point, and they need to specifically address that point that they need help for. I'm working hard could be a very good statement that the students need to practice. I don't give up would be also a very effective statement. I can try, I'm learning, and I'm getting better. So if we are to set some rules in the classroom, we could also set some growth-oriented statements in our classroom walls as well, in order to remind what they can do by themselves when they're struggling. And well, growth mindset actually covers a number of topics. That could be self-talk. I will mention that. Today I'm going to focus on teacher to student communication in terms of praising. And school to home communication. We're not alone in the classroom with the student, because home is also a stakeholder in the learning process. School-home communication, I just repeated it, sorry, and the peer-to-peer communication. So peers are also stakeholders. So self-talk starts with us as teachers, and then we are interacting with our students, and then we are referring to home environment, and then we need to establish an effective classroom atmosphere in the classroom. So in order to establish this, we need to embody growth as a teacher. I'm going to talk about the pitfalls as well. This study was conducted by Dweck, and in her book in 2006, she introduced this experiment, which was conducted with 400 students across the country in the United States. And the students were given a moderately challenging problem. And after completing the problem, they were praised and said, wow, that's a really good score. And they were praised in terms of their intelligence by referring that you must be really smart at this as an intelligence praise. On the other hand, their effort in the other group, effort was praised, and you must have tried really hard was the effort praise. So the same group of people, they received the same statement, wow, that's a really good score, but they received two different praises. The first group received intelligence praise, and the second group received effort praise. And then they were introduced a more challenging set of questions, and then moderately challenging problems, and the results were striking. Well, the control group did well in the challenging tasks, but this group who received the intelligence praise just failed towards the end of the experiment, whereas the students asked for a more challenging question, and which revealed that effort praise actually worked better in terms of persistence and in terms of pursuing success in the studies. And this group actually asked for more challenging questions, whereas this group, the group who received intelligence praise, asked for easier questions, not their face, most probably. I will come to that. So praising, well, so we're going to highlight process. We're going to emphasize effort. But how are we going to do that? Well, we need to first categorize praise in terms of its titles. When we praise the person, then we will be focusing on their talents, their abilities. Well, you're really gifted in English, or you are so smart, would be a person praise. So this part needs to be eliminated, and we have to be very careful in providing this kind of praise in the classrooms. Well, what process praise looks like? Well, let's work on this, which will stretch your mind by giving them a challenge. And how many different strategies can you use by giving them the option to reflect on their learning processes? And the person critic will be, you failed, or it wasn't good enough. You're not good enough. You're not doing well. Instead, we need to eliminate this part, but instead we make a critic of the process. So this strategy didn't work out for you. Let's find out other ways to solve this problem. You couldn't reach your goal, but what have you learned in this process? You must have learned something. Could you please just refer to your learning process? Well, the problem with person praise is that it sends the message that the student succeeds because of some inherent or inborn quality that they possess. In this case, it's intelligence. So rather than effort, they put it into the task. Whereas process praise would acknowledge effort, strategies, or actions that contribute to the process of the task. And person critic is the feedback that blames the failure or setback, and you're not just good at the math. On the other hand, the process critic would focus on effort or lack of it that is put into that task. And also we need to eliminate vague praises as well. Well, you are naturally gifted in learning English could be considered as vague. You are doing great. That's a brilliant job. which job is brilliant? And we have to be more specific. Okay, sorry, I missed this. Okay, well, we have to be very specific in terms of the activities, for instance. So if you're referring to the students doing well in the job as a vague praise, in the specific part, we could refer to, well, the essay that you have written just focused on the introduction part that we mentioned in the class. Would you like to elaborate more on that? So in terms of giving the praise, we have to refer to the typical action or the typical behavior that is observed by the teacher, while we are focusing on the importance of the effort that reveals it as an outcome. So if you cannot keep the categories in mind, here are some stems of praising. So look at how much progress you've made on. We need to make it more specific. So I see a difference in this word compared to the previous actions. So this assignment reveals how hard you worked, and have you considered trying this strategy? You're on the right track, but could also benefit from this. You worked so well with the group that helped you all, while we are emphasizing the importance of group work. So, okay, opposite. All right. So instead of saying good job, what would you say? Any alternatives to good job? We frequently use it. Nice effort. Good try. Amazing. Well done. I appreciate your effort. Thank you for your efforts. All right. Great effort. Okay. You're doing great. I like the way you try so hard on it. Brilliant, Melek. You're a hero. Okay. Keep on the good work. Exactly. Keep up the good work. I use it a lot. By the way, good job is not a sin feedback. In order to keep up with the positive classroom and the atmosphere, in order to keep up with the dynamics of the classroom, in order to increase the motivation of the group, of course, we make use of good job. Well done. You're doing great. Excellent work. Of course, we make use of that. But what we are referring to is that individually specific praise that we provide for the students. That is I'm focusing on the individual praise that the students need to get. Okay. Well, we could refer to the feelings of the student. Well, you look really proud of yourself. All right. What you did was kind and generous by appreciating the behavior. You didn't give up even when it was difficult. That was your strength. And you found a new way to get this done. That's interesting. I was really interested in this. I can tell you put a lot of time and effort into this, truly appreciate it, and you did it, right? So praise should make people feel good, and criticism could make people feel bad. So this isn't actually the case. So they contend that both praise and criticism are about helping people be more successful. Positive feedback would help people to understand what they did well so they can build on it. And criticism should help people learn from their mistakes so they can grow in the process. But in our context, criticism has a negative connotation, and people could become defending of themselves when they receive any kind of criticism. So that's a cultural thing, I guess. The meaning of criticism could be misunderstood in terms of classroom and the use of praise in the classroom. So we have to be cautious though, because inflated praise could result in a very negative way. And that would decrease the challenge seeking in children. Inflated praise by just referring to how the student is doing brilliant, or everything they do, any word that they say in the classroom, anything that comes to their mind, and the teachers appreciate every behavior and just increases the amount of praise. So that could be considered as inflated praise, and which is, although it is well intended, may cause the children with low self-esteem especially avoid the necessary and crucial learning experiences. I'm doing good. I don't need anything. Well, even this bare minimum effort is enough for this teacher. And another thing that we have to be sure, just ensure, is that we need to identify false growth mindset. Well, it is saying that growth mindset, just you have growth mindset when you don't have actually, and your behaviors, your actions will not match with your statements. And it is false in the sense that nobody has a growth mindset in everything all the time. And everyone is actually a mixture of fixed and growth mindsets, and their growth mindset could differ from one field of study to another. And you could have predominant growth mindset in an area, but you can still have some triggers that would change your mind and just make it just change the way you think about your abilities or your success. So something really challenging and outside your comfort zone can trigger that process. And while we're identifying false growth mindset, it's more like telling the students that they can do anything, or praising the effort alone itself, because effort is not just itself important. Using different strategies is also involved in the process. Resilience, as some of you mentioned, is one of the key words that it just needs to be appreciated in the process as well. And paying attention in the process, reflecting on the learning processes needs to be highlighted as well while we're referring to effective learning procedures that are followed by the students and monitored by the teachers. If you're interested, well, you can also follow this page, Believe PHQ, on Twitter. They are providing these posters, and they are very short and precise in terms of making the information as it's just summaries. Well, we also appreciate failure in the learning process, because failure is an important aspect of success as well, because they teach us lessons and they make the learner stronger, help them learn, and creates opportunities, alternatives to develop certain strategies. And well, resilience is another factor, and that would encourage thinking as well. So we need to embody this process, as I said, as a teacher, rather than memorizing 300 statements, rather than keeping those categories of classroom language in mind. We need to embody growth or interaction patterns in ourselves. So we need to start giving personal process praises to ourselves, and kind words I can say to myself. I would like to ask this, would you please comment on some of the kind words that you can say to yourself in order to praise your process? You know, it's more like embodying the process. Keep on trying. Good. Go, girl. I nailed it. You got this, Merve. You did it before, you can do it again. I'm way far from where I've started. Yes, that's reflecting on the process. Thank you, Ipek. You can do it. Why not, Zeynep? You can, and you did. Thank you. I was meant to be the best. You deserve to be the best. Okay. Thank you. To yourself, right? Exactly. Breathe, pause, and try again when you're ready would be one of them. What's the best that could happen? Just thinking about focusing on the positive outcomes. You're still learning, and it's okay to make mistakes. Well, if you failed, change the strategy. Pay attention to your strengths and observe what to appreciate. Sleep on it. Exactly. That's also my strategy. And someone mentioned it at the very beginning of the presentation. Well, if it's failed, actually, it's the first attempt in learning. And it's not an end because effort never dies. And next opportunity could be used as could be defined in the acronym of no. So, and I saw this last slide. Arzu Hocam, I guess, shared it a couple of days ago. Well, we cannot force someone to hear a message that they are not ready to receive, but we must never underestimate the power of planting a seed to have a botanical garden. Thank you. That's all I have. I think we can have the questions, Hocam.
Thank you very much. I was so fascinated. I just wasn't aware of the fact that you finished the presentation.
Okay.
And I was just picking on Sedat Hocam, saying that he most probably cheated you being friends, because
well,
he
we
came
didn't
up
talk,
with
actually.
that fail thing. So Sedat Hocam, I know
maybe.
that you got the answer beforehand. So
Hocam, we've been together for like 70 years. We were working together for like 70 years
yeah,
now.
I
so
know, I
guess
know.
he reads my mind.
Well, we have lots of remarks here, but
Okay.
we also have some questions. So if you can just wait for a second. Well, some of the questions I'm not very clear about. So if these people are around, please ask your own question, because I may mess it up. Mert Mustafa, are you here?
Okay, yes.
Are you here?
I'm here. Yes, he's here. Would you like to ask the question?
Can you please unmute yourself and ask your own question?
That'd be great.
This one, not praising the person or his intelligence cannot also lower his confidence? Question mark. Because everybody needs to make, well, I couldn't understand the question myself. Okay, let me reread it.
Okay.
Not praising the person or his intelligence cannot also lower his confidence?
No.
Because everybody needs to make sure that he is smart.
Well, if he's or she is confident enough, they don't need any appreciation or over emphasis on their being smart. So if they're smart, they won't need any comment on that.
Yeah.
If they need any comments on that, they're not self-confident, so they have problems with the self-confidence.
I totally agree. In fact, Merhaba Hocam has come up with a wonderful comment here. She says, person praise might yield some sort of negative fixed mindset. So if you keep saying that someone is smart, you're smart,
that's problem.
oh my God, you're so brilliant, then maybe you may cause a negative mindset. This person may think that he's really smart and he doesn't have to study.
Hocam, that's another problem. If we blame the type of mindset that students have, they would develop a toxic positivity, which we don't want that as well. So we are, as teachers, we will be offering the options as developing growth mindset or just fixed mindset, but we need to introduce the idea that it's also just mixed. And in our conference in Get 2021, Kim Knowles and Nigel Liu will be joining us as plenary speakers, and they will be talking about language mindset, specifically on language learning, which that will definitely explain it in detail. But that's the main idea. We need to avoid toxic positivity. That's not something that we want.
Okay. And, sometimes if we give the impression that this person is, oh my God, very clever, what happens when the person fails? It gets very, very frustrating, doesn't it? So maybe rather than saying you're smart, you're brilliant, oh my God, you're clever, it's just, oh my God, what a nice work. The work itself, the effort itself, the behavior itself should get the praise. Did I understand it correctly?
Right, exactly. You
Okay.
did. And we could actually appreciate a person's intelligence.
Uh-huh.
That's no harm. But in terms of learning processes, we need to highlight the outcome and the effort that is put into the process. We should appreciate students, but they would have a false understanding that, okay, this teacher appreciates my intelligence. So if I don't perform better in the following stages, then she wouldn't like me or she wouldn't appreciate my work. So I need to keep low key. So they would prefer to just not present. They would prefer not to be present, or they would prefer to avoid interacting. So in order to just the experiment that I shared, the chart explains that they would prefer easier tasks. They would prefer unchallenging activities.
Well, of course, all participants are like thanking you for this great presentation. Tap on your shoulder. Yes, thanks a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God, zillions of thank yous. Well, let me thank her, for God's sake. Okay. Well, I just have a question, personal one. Somewhere, like at the beginning of your speech, well, somewhere at the beginning, you said it's not that hard to encourage the person to try harder. Did I misunderstand it?
I think it was to avoid the statements that needs to be avoided.
So I misunderstood.
Right. It's not that hard. You can do it when the student said, well, we should avoid that. We should give that emotional space that the child needs to go through.
Yeah. Because that will really make me even more nervous. If someone says, that's not hard, that hard, that means, oh my God, I'm a moron, imbecile, idiot. I cannot do it. It's not hard and I cannot do it. Oh my God, look at me.
That will drive you crazy.
Me away. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
That will do the same thing to me too. Şebnem Hocam has a question, I guess.
Okay, Şebnem Hocam.
She sent me a message.
First of all, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. First of all, thank you very much for this wonderful speech. I have one question. What is your motto about life and about classroom management?
My motto.
Can you?
It is what it is. It is what it is. Will be my motto.
You can take motto as advice, for example.
Well, accept the things as they are and be flexible as you can, and set your boundaries, set the criteria that you have, but respect the students' processes in their learning and just give them enough space to develop and find their ways out. They need guidance.
One more question. Okay. If a student doesn't respect you, how do you behave?
Doesn't? Sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Respect you.
Well,
respect.
Okay, what is your definition of respect? Because your definition of respect could differ
for example,
from mine.
I don't know how to. I don't know. One of my students said in the class that I don't like your way of teaching. You should choose another job, for example.
Okay, leave the classroom. Leave the classroom. It's so nice to see you. Leave the classroom and find a better teacher. Thank you so much.
Oh, good.
That will be my answer.
Well, of course,
thank you.
don't forget that Anıl Hoca is a professor at a university, so she has the luxury of saying that. But you teaching at a normal school, you cannot do that. You cannot send the student out of the
Out
classroom.
the class.
So I guess you can just
Rehberlik
say,
hocam.
well,
Guidance.
if you don't like the way I teach, just sit in the back, do whatever you want to do. Don't let me interrupt you. You know. Well, do you remember what Tony said like weeks ago? He said, if a learner has decided not to learn, you're not going to teach anything. Whatever you do, this person has determined his mind. I mean, he's not going to learn. So why push? Why? Just take it easy. Enjoy the classroom time with your other students who actually want to learn. Anıl Hocam, do you think that this growth mindset is difficult, hard to achieve? Because well, I shouldn't say in our culture, maybe this is something universal, but I do not have enough experience to make that generalization. So let me stick to Turkish culture. In our culture, we have been raised, well, you know, our generation. I'm not talking about your generation. We were not that lucky to be encouraged by our parents. So when we failed, they in fact treated us as idiots. You know, they say, oh, you failed. Yeah, you're not that brilliant. You're not that clever. So just, you know, stick to something easy. How do you think we can learn this growth mindset? Is it learnable?
It is, because I am one of the examples of it. I was raised in a perfectionist, by a perfectionist mother, and I wasn't even allowed to go to the restroom without finishing my homeworks. And I was never good enough. And when I receive 100, my mom was, did you get any stars? And when I get a star, my mom would say, how many people got 100? And you are never good enough. I was never good enough for my mom.
Is your mother British?
No, Turkish.
Okay. Amanda is laughing over there.
Offended I am.
I did that on purpose, just to get on your nerves. Okay, so we can
and I struggled.
learn this.
I struggled. I learned, and I struggled. And whenever I failed, I was depressed. Whenever I failed, I was anxious. Whenever I failed, I didn't feel good enough, and that was a huge strike on my actions, on my daily lives. I had to change that. I couldn't figure it out. With 2 kids, I have to change the way I look at the world. So which also reflected on my teaching practices as well. Actually, a couple of weeks ago, I attended a seminar with Özgür Bolat. And he's just educational psychologist writing books. And I asked him this question: how could we introduce growth mindset in the classroom? What would you say to pre-service teachers or teacher educators? And he said, you need to become it. Actually, I did by myself. That's a whole change of mindset. We have to leave it just behind, and you have to look for your future. Just find out about your strengths, weaknesses, what I can do, what I can't do, and what is best for me. I need to spare some time for me. And whenever I fail, I could fail. I'm just a human being. This kind of reflects. And additionally, as far as I know, currently, introducing growth mindset into classrooms, there are a number of resources that are introduced in the literature. Actually, I can share one of them. Like ready to use resources for mindsets in the classroom is one of them. It has a number of materials and activities. And as far as I know, people are working on introducing mindsets, not just growth, because we are not highlighting the importance of growth. What we are introducing is the plasticity of the brain. Okay. The brain will change when they learn, when people learn. So we need to give this awareness to the student that they can actually change their way of thinking. This doesn't mean that they would become a Superman at the end, but they could change the process and they will take the control of their learning in order to empower their learnership.
Great. Thank you. Guys, do you have any other questions? Otherwise, I'm just going to close the session and then we can just use my number generator to decide who's going to get this gift. Do you have any other questions? Can you write the full name of the book and the author?
Sure. You can find it on Amazon. So,
okay.
Mary K. Ritchie.
Merhaba hocam, thank you very much. It's great to be appreciated. Thank you. Anıl Hoca has received thousands of thanks and I got only one. So
thank you so much for inviting me, Hocam. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate that.
I'm just kidding, Anıl Hocam. You know me. I'm a very naughty person. I can never behave properly. Okay.
Let's say that's your pattern. So don't label it like that. Well, we could say that's my pattern of language.
Well, I'm not complaining, Anıl Hocam.
Okay.
People are complaining. They think that I'm a witch, but I'm not. I'm okay with myself. I mean, at this age, at the age of 18, I cannot change. I shouldn't say that. I can if I try hard. What do you think of teaching this growth mindset to our parents?
Right, parent involvement. It's another topic.
So are we talking about teacher-parent meetings, or are we talking about maybe seminars and workshops for parents?
Well, I think they need training. Parents need to be involved in the learning process. They need seminars, educational seminars with regards to introducing mindsets in their relationships, not just with the students, but with the teachers as well. And in order to have an idea of how to increase their effective communication with their children and addressing the needs to the teachers as well, they definitely need to be involved in the process, not just through parent teaching meetings, but also in activities as well, or extracurricular activities, or just movie nights, discussion times, or anything that is involved in the learning process. The parents need to be involved and informed. If they're not involved, at least they need to be informed.
Okay. So just giving a talk, just giving information is not enough.
No.
They should get into some kind of workshop, maybe, where they can
actively involved in the process.
Yes, get involved in the process. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I mean, Anıl Hocam, I don't know how to thank you because I have learned a lot and I have a long way to go. And I believe most of the participants think so. So you opened a new window, a new door for us. Hopefully, we can follow this road. And if we fail, we can come to you and ask you for your help. How about that?
That'll be great. I'll be here to help anytime, Hocam.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you guys for being here, joining this session. You made it unbelievably, brilliant.
Brilliant is my word. I need to change that pattern. I keep saying,
I stole it.
I have posted to change it. I share this with my students. Brilliant is just stuck here. It's a pattern that I keep saying. So wonderful, super, remarkable, splendid.
Okay, splendid. Okay, from now on, we're going to go for splendid. Thank you very much. Now, just stay safe, stay healthy, stay at home. Okay. And hope to see you next week.